The battlefield lies shrouded in a dense suffocating fog, a gray veil that clings to the jagged ridges of Zone J11 like a predator's breath. The air reeks of cordite and fear, pierced by the staccato rhythm of artillery shells tearing into the earth. 12 soldiers of Alpha Squad huddle in a shallow ravine, their uniforms caked with mud and blood, their radios crackling with static as enemy fire rains down. Inside Joint Base Echo's Ops Center, 200 miles away, the atmosphere crackles with urgency. Colonel Marcus Hale, a towering figure with steel-gray hair and a face etched with decades of command, slams his fist on a table littered with maps stained red with danger zones. "Get me jets, any jets," he roars, his voice a thunderclap over the hum of computers. But then, cutting through the chaos, a deep, primal growl reverberates, an A-10 Warthog, its distinctive warble slicing the fog, unauthorized and defiant. Who's at the controls? No flight plan, no name, just a shadow from the past. Could this relic turn a death trap into a lifeline? If you're drawn to stories of forgotten heroes, smash like, subscribe to HeroHush Stories, comment where you're watching from, and share with a patriot. Let's unravel the roar that defied the impossible. Joint Base Echo, Spring 2022, sprawls across a windswept plateau in the heart of a war-torn region, its tarmac a vast expanse of cracked concrete stretching toward the horizon. The early morning air carries the faint tang of jet fuel and the distant rumble of artillery, a reminder of the conflict simmering just beyond the base's fortified perimeter. Overhead, drones hum in a ceaseless patrol, their sleek forms silhouetted against a pale, overcast sky, their cameras scanning for threats. Inside the ops center, a sprawling bunker-like room buried beneath layers of reinforced concrete, the atmosphere is thick with tension. Fluorescent lights cast a harsh glow over long tables cluttered with maps, each sheet a battlefield in miniature, marked with red ink to denote rebel-controlled zones, the lines drawn with trembling hands under the pressure of constant alerts. Computer screens flicker with real-time data, their green digits tracking troop movements and weather patterns, while the faint hum of cooling fans fills the silence between barked orders. Colonel Marcus Hale, 50, dominates the space with the authority of a seasoned warhorse. His steel-gray hair is cropped in a military buzz cut, streaked with white from years under desert suns, and his face bears the deep lines of a man who's stared down death more times than he cares to count. His uniform, a crisp olive-drab ensemble adorned with a chest full of ribbons, is impeccably pressed, though the sleeves are rolled up to reveal forearms scarred from a long-ago ejection. Hale's desk is a fortress of order, stacked manuals yellowed with age, order logs bound in leather, and a mug of cold coffee that's been refilled too many times. A 30-year Air Force veteran, he cut his teeth flying F-16s through Iraqi sandstorms and rose through the ranks with a reputation for unyielding adherence to protocol. Today, his team teeters on the brink, F-35 Lightning IIs sit grounded in Hangar 3, their advanced turbines blown by a recent dust storm, pilots pacing the bays with frustration etched on their faces, F-18 Hornets linger mid-refuel on carriers 500 miles out, their sleek frames bobbing on choppy seas, their ETA a daunting 90 minutes away. "Jets," he barks, his voice a gravelly command that echoes off the concrete walls. "Fast ones. Now." His staff scrambles, phones pressed to ears, fingers flying over keyboards as they hunt for solutions in a crisis that threatens to spiral out of control. Amid this storm of urgency lurks Riley Kane, 34, a spectral figure haunting the hangar's shadowed depths. Her A-10C Thunderbolt II, call sign Shadow Hawk, hunkers beneath a weathered tarp in the farthest bay, its 53-foot length and 57-foot wingspan a stark contrast to the sleek jets nearby. The Warthog's titanium armor is pocked with scars, gouges from shrapnel, faded paint from desert heat, and a jagged dent where a SAM grazed its tail 3 years ago. Its twin General Electric TF-34 engines sit dormant, their exhaust ports clogged with dust, while the GAU-8 Avenger cannon protrudes like a predator's maw, its 30mm barrels capable of firing 3,900 rounds per minute with devastating precision. Riley's no stranger to its roar. She logged 200 missions, threading the aircraft through fog-choked valleys and SAM-infested skies, her cannon a lifeline for stranded troops. Her hazel eyes, framed by faint crow's feet earned from squinting into sunsets, carry a haunted intensity, while her auburn hair, streaked with premature gray, is often tucked beneath a faded flight cap bearing a faded squadron patch. Standing at 5 feet 6 inches with a lean, wiry frame, she moves with the quiet grace of a predator, her hands calloused from years of wrenching steel. But her glory days ended with Operation Storm Veil, 3 years prior, a mission that still lingers in the base's collective memory. Ordered to stand down as a platoon faced annihilation in a SAM-riddled valley, Riley launched solo into a hellscape of enemy fire. Her Warthog weaved through a gauntlet of missiles, its armor absorbing hits that would have downed a lesser plane, and she saved 18 soldiers, their cheers echoing as she touched down on a makeshift strip. But her wingman's plane erupted in a fireball behind her, the explosion's heat searing her memory with the image of his cockpit vanishing in flame. Command branded her reckless disobedience. "You fly by the book or not at all," a stern-faced general declared in a sterile hearing room, his gavel slamming like a judge's sentence. Her files vanished into classified vaults, her name scrubbed from active rosters, her call sign retired to a dusty archive. Riley didn't protest. She retreated to the hangar, a self-imposed exile where the Warthog became her sanctuary, its cockpit a confessional where she relived every mission, every loss. Her days unfold in a meticulous, almost ritualistic rhythm. At dawn, she rises before the sun, her boots crunching on the hangar's gravel floor as she hauls out a wire brush to scrub rust from the wings, the metallic scrape a meditation against the silence. By noon, she's elbow-deep in the cockpit, recalibrating the GAU-8's 30mm barrels with a precision torque wrench, ensuring each round aligns with deadly accuracy. She adjusts the cannon's 1,174-round drum, checking the ammo feed for jams, her fingers tracing the cold steel with a lover's care. Night falls as she hones the avionics, rewiring circuits with salvaged parts, bolting on extra armor plating scavenged from a scrapyard, and jury-rigging navigation systems for fog penetration. She taps into open comms channels with a jury-rigged receiver hidden in a toolbox, a forbidden lifeline that catches fragments of distress calls the brass deems too risky or unfeasible, a whisper of "help us" from a squad left behind. Her father, a Vietnam-era mechanic with grease-stained hands and a gravelly laugh, instilled her creed during childhood visits to his garage: planes don't save lives, pilots do. Base rumors swirl around her, whispers of a ghost pilot tuning her Warthog in secret, a myth Hale dismisses with a scoff over morning coffee. But Riley's ears are tuned, her Warthog primed with 4,000 pounds of thrust per engine, its fuel tanks topped off from pilfered reserves. When Zone J11's fog rolls in, thick as a shroud and heavy with the promise of death, will she remain a shadow, or rise as a savior? 1:47 p.m., Zone J11. The Ops Center's sirens wail like a banshee's cry, their shrill pitch slicing through the hum of computers, the clatter of keyboards, and the rustle of paper as staffers flip through logs. The room, a bunker buried 20 feet underground, vibrates with the urgency of a sinking ship. Screens flare red, pinpointing Alpha Squad's dire straits, 12 soldiers pinned in a ravine carved by ancient rivers, artillery shells exploding 50 meters out, their shrapnel carving craters into the fog-drenched earth. The fog, a swirling mass of gray, jams their GPS with electromagnetic interference, static garbling their pleas, immediate air support. Now, their leader shouts, voice raw with desperation, his words punctuated by the crack of a nearby explosion. Colonel Hale slams a fist on the table, maps trembling under the impact, a coffee mug toppling to spill dark liquid across a red-marked sector. His face, flushed with controlled fury, contorts as he roars, "Get any pilot, just need jets in 15 minutes." His words reverberate, a command echoed by the room's tension, the air thick with the scent of sweat and desperation. Options crumble under scrutiny. F-35 Lightning II sit idle in Hangar 3, their advanced turbines blown by a recent dust storm, pilots pacing the bays with frustration etched on their faces, wrenches clanging against metal as they futilely troubleshoot. F-18 Hornets linger mid-refuel on carriers 500 miles out, their sleek frames bobbing on choppy seas, their ETA a daunting 90 minutes away as fuel hoses sway in the wind. A junior officer, sweat beading on his brow, mutters under his breath, "Shadow Hawk's A-10C is prepped, ready to roll from Bay 12. Hale's laugh is a harsh bark, cutting through the din, that flying dinosaur. "Get me jets, damn it." His staff scrambles, phones pressed to ears, fingers flying over keyboards as they hunt for solutions in a crisis that threatens to spiral into tragedy. Radar blips flare on the screen, an A-10 closing fast, its signature low and steady, a blip moving at 300 knots with no flight plan logged in the system's digital ledger. "Who cleared takeoff?" Hale roars, his voice bouncing off the concrete walls, his eyes narrowing as he leans over the radar operator's shoulder. "Nobody, sir," a tech stammers, eyes wide with disbelief, his fingers trembling on the console. She overheard Alpha's call and launched solo from Bay 12, tarmac cameras show the Warthog lifting off at 1:45 p.m. The room ignites into a frenzy, radios flood with Alpha's frantic updates, "We're overrun, artillery at 20 meters, shrapnel's tearing us apart." Hale seizes the mic, his grip white-knuckled, the plastic creaking under pressure, "Unknown A-10, identify and return to base immediately." Static hums back, a mocking silence that stretches the tension to breaking. "This breaks every protocol we've got," he snaps, his voice rising as he paces, boots thudding against the floor. A staffer, voice low and hesitant, adds, "Call signs from Storm Vale, retired after she saved A-10, lost her wingman to a SAM blast 3 years ago." Hale's jaw tightens, his mind racing through memories of that mission's fallout, the reprimands that followed. Riley, aloft in her Warthog, blocks out the noise with the hum of her engines. Fog cloaks her low run, terrain masking her approach as she schemes ridges at 300 feet, the altimeter needle trembling at the edge of danger. She's danced this ballet before, saved a squad in Storm Vale, paid with exile and the image of her wingman's plane vanishing in flame. "Alpha, Shadow Hawk inbound," she transmits, voice steady as a rock over the comms, her breath visible in the cockpit's chill. "Mark targets." "I'm visual, fog's thick, but I've got you." Hale's command cracks like a whip, "Stand down, that's a direct order. Return to base now." But Riley dives, the Warthog's nose dipping as she adjusts the throttle, cannon humming with potential. Can a grounded spirit rewrite destiny in the face of such defiance? Static thickens, a wall of white noise that drowns out the ops center's clamor. Alpha's leader chokes out, "Artillery at 10 meters, send help, we're losing ground." Riley banks hard, fog swirling like a living thing around her canopy, the Warthog's 46,000-pound frame shuddering as she pulls 4GS, the G-suit compressing her legs. Her GAU-8 warms, 30mm rounds prepped in the 1,174-round drum, the ammo feed clicking with readiness. Hale's team scrambles in a chaotic dance, officers shouting over each other, a tech spilling coffee as he adjusts the radar. She's in J-11 airspace, rogue operation. Riley's comm cuts through the storm, "Alpha, hold tight. I'm threading the needle, mark that west nest." The Warthog growls, dipping below radar, her hands iron on the stick, gloves worn thin from years of grip, the control yoke slick with sweat. Years of hangar exile, endless mods, it all fuses in this moment, extra armor bolted on with rivets she hammered herself, avionics rewired with scavenged parts, fuel tanks topped off from pilfered reserves. One misfire, and Alpha's gone, their silhouettes swallowed by the fog. She recalls Storm Vale, the squad's cheers as they emerged from the smoke, her wingman's scream as his plane vanished, the heat of the explosion searing her memory. "Not this time," she vows, voice a whisper in the cockpit, her eyes locked on the target through the heads-up display. The first run, 60 rounds erupt, a staccato burst carving through the fog to shred 2 artillery nests, the 30mm shells exploding in orange blasts that light the haze, debris raining like deadly confetti. Alpha's voice surges over the comms, "Hits." She's pinpoint, unbelievable precision. Hale glares at the radar, pulse pounding in his temples, the screen reflecting his fury. Who is this phantom defying his ironclad command? Riley's Warthog slices the mist, a steel specter with a purpose, its 57-foot wings cutting through the fog like a blade. "Alpha, mark the east ridge," she calls, her voice crisp over the comms, the laser winks from the squad's designators guiding her eye through the gray veil. 3 enemy guns lurk, concealed in the fog's embrace, their barrels trained on Alpha's fragile line, muzzle flashes illuminating their positions in brief, deadly bursts. No GPS lock, no jet support, just her skill, forged in 1,000 dogfights across deserts and mountains, her instincts sharpened by 3 years of exile. She dives, the Warthog's 46,000-pound frame shuddering as she pulls 4 GS, the G-suit compressing her legs, her breath fogging the canopy's edge. The GAU-8 Avenger roars with a sound like 1,000 hammers striking steel, its 30mm round slicing through rock with surgical precision, each shell a 1.5-pound projectile traveling at 3,900 feet per second. Orange blasts light the haze, shrapnel scattering like a deadly rain, the shock waves rippling through the fog. Alpha's cheer erupts over the radio, targets down, no friendlies hit, she's a miracle. A sand chirps its deadly song, its radar lock painting her Warthog silhouette. Riley rolls, skimming ridges at 200 feet, the altimeter needle trembling at the edge of danger, firing a Maverick missile to silence the threat with a plume of fire. The sky clears, rebels scattering like leaves in a storm, their cries lost to the wind. "LZ secure," she radios, helicopters thundering closer, their rotor wash stirring the mist. Alpha scrambles forward, dust their shield, rifles barking as they push toward extraction, their boots slipping on the muddy slope. Riley orbits, burst stitching a protective path, her Warthog a guardian in the mist, its cannon tracing lines of fire to hold the enemy at bay. "Extraction inbound," she says, voice unshaken despite the sweat beading on her brow, her hands steady on the stick as the cockpit's temperature climbs. Hale's radio explodes with fury, "Shadow Hawk, return to base now, immediately." She mutes it with a flick of her thumb, vanishing into the fog's embrace, the Warthog's growl fading into silence. Did she just save 12 lives, or ignite a storm that'll redefine the skies? The A-10 fades into the mist, its growl a fading echo swallowed by the fog, its silhouette vanishing beyond the radar's reach. Inside the ops center, the air grows heavy with the aftermath, the hum of computers a stark contrast to the earlier chaos. Hale demands answers, his voice a growl as he paces the room, boots thudding against the concrete floor, his face a mask of controlled fury. Technicians pull files from dusty archives, their fingers smudged with ink as they scroll through digital logs. "Shadow Hawk, Riley Kane, suspended post-operation Storm Veil." The mission's details unfold like a grim tapestry. 3 years ago, she launched solo into a SAM-riddled valley, her Warthog weaving through a gauntlet of missiles, its armor absorbing hits that would have downed a lesser plane. She saved 18 soldiers, their cheers echoing as she touched down on a makeshift strip carved from a desert road, but her wingman's plane erupted in a fireball behind her, the explosion's heat searing her memory with the image of his cockpit vanishing in flame. Command branded her reckless disobedience, a stern-faced general declaring in a sterile hearing room, "You fly by the book or not at all," his gavel slamming like a judge's sentence. Her files vanished into classified vaults, her name scrubbed from active rosters, her call sign retired to a dusty archive. She flew anyway, a tech murmurs, scrolling through grainy footage of her last sanctioned run, the Warthog silhouette a defiant streak against a smoky sky. Brought them home against all odds. Hale orders her call sign reactivated, emergency use only, a quiet nod to her grit scribbled in a memo that circulates through the chain of command. The Warthog lands in Hangar 7, a cavernous bay tucked at the base's edge, its armor gleaming under the dim glow of sodium lights, hydraulic leaks patched with meticulous care, the scent of oil and metal lingering in the air. Riley's note flutters in the cockpit, penned in her tight, precise handwriting on a scrap of paper stained with grease. "I fly when calls go unanswered, gratitude isn't my price, survival is." Alpha Squad sends a badge, a small aluminum token engraved with, "You brought us home," its edges worn from their grasp, the metal warm from their hands as they pressed it into the courier's palm. Hale pins it silently in the cockpit, his silence a tribute as he traces the engraving with a calloused finger, the weight of the day settling on his shoulders. Whispers spread across the base, pilots swapping stories over coffee, mechanics pausing mid-wrench to listen, about the ghost who bends rules for the lost. Doctrine shifts in subtle ways, protocols flex for courage, a memo circulated to honor unorthodox valor, its language carefully worded to avoid scrutiny from higher command. Riley? She's out there, ears tuned to the desperate, her warthog a shadow on the horizon, its engines humming with readiness. Her legacy, when orders fail, heart prevails, a principle etched into the base's unspoken code. This tale isn't just Riley's, it's a mirror to our choices. When duty clashes with rules, what do you stand for? Drop your thoughts below. Would you defy orders to save lives? If this gripped your soul, like, subscribe to HeroHush Stories, share with a warrior, and stay for the next echo of valor that'll leave you breathless.